appreciate your.
Hey, everybody, it's Linda, Andrea, and Sterling. And we're here to do our Dead Famous right now. Sterling's, it's not really, we're not going to say it's your last one, because we may have you on as a guest at some other time. But his schedule is very busy. Work related.
Exactly. Just had to kind of move some things around the schedule, and I'm certainly that a few months, whatever it is, I'll be back. It's all good, but it just had to kind of move some things around.
Right, and he totally enjoyed me and Andrea, so he was crying when he told us about it. Crying. I said, "Hey, dude, snap out of it."
Well,
but
it's
Andrea's going to be in. She's going to be in charge of the show. So, however she wants to do it, whatever guest she wants to do, don't write me about it. It's her. Okay. The power of Christ will compel you. Okay, so we've got some good ones here. We'll start off with Andrea. She's going to do Carrie Fisher, John Lennon, and Nicole Smith. Sterling's going to do John Belushi, Steve Jobs, and Luther Vandross. And I'm going to do Aaliyah, Stevie Ray, and Ritchie Valens. Okay, Andrea.
I'm going to start with, I think I'll start with Nicole Smith, sorry. So a lot of people were wondering, and myself too, was it accidental or sneaky or bad or something? So I got it was an accidental overdose, not a plot to take her down. She was obviously very distraught at the time. She just given birth and her son had passed away. I feel very sorry for her. I think she had a lot of unpleasantness in her life. But I asked how she is now. Well, she feels very blessed and she is with her son. I asked about her son. So we have unconditional love. So her son, Daniel, apparently the sun rose and set literally on him. So they are together. She's very at peace. So that is wonderful to know. What is a message for her daughter, Daniela? So her daughter is being raised by, sorry, I forget his name. I don't know if you guys remember.
I know what you're talking about, but
the biological father, the piercing blue eyes and blonde hair. She wants her to know that everything is for a reason. So we have harmony and divine timing. So perhaps they didn't get a chance to spend too much time together, but everything's for a reason. And that she hopes when her daughter gets older and understands her, that the perception, she doesn't believe what was said in the tabloids, that her father or other family members will give her the right information about her mother. I think her mother really loved her children. And again, unfortunately, she didn't have too much time with her daughter on this planet. What is some advice she would give to young women? Like, as I said, I think she didn't have the easiest start. She did a lot of different things. She's letting them know you can manifest whatever you want. So don't be afraid to dream big. I love that one. Be your own first priority. So not letting other things come first or people pushing you around or doing things you don't want to do. Put yourself first and do what you want. And remember to unplug and relax. Unplugs. What the cool kids call it, unplugs. So that you don't have a tower moment. We know that she had obviously a tower moment where it sort of destroyed her, but she wants not just young women, but everyone to remember to unplug and relax.
Right.
And then what is it like on the other side? We got the beautiful union card.
Oh.
She is in perfect bliss. She's saying how beautiful it is. Everything comes together. Everything makes sense. What she didn't understand here, she understands now. A really beautiful card and a celebration. I feel a celebration of life and being grateful. Even though it didn't maybe go how some of us would have, wanted her life to be or expect her life to be, she's very grateful. Very
That's
grateful.
Great.
Yeah. Just a really beautiful message. She's very much in harmony with her own self. And it's very peaceful. That's what I want to say. Her energy was very, very peaceful.
That's great. That's great.
And I believe that her daughter is in very good hands with the biological father. Forgive me, I can't remember his
His
name.
last name's Burkhead, but I don't remember
Yeah,
his first
yeah.
name. But they did a little special on some show, and he was saving all Anna's costumes and stuff, and she was playing with them, and so he upgrades Anna towards her, and she loves her mommy. She looks just like her.
She does look just like her. So yeah, very, very, you know, seemed like a difficult life maybe here, but she's at peace with it all and gives loving messages. So, and I'd like that.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yes.
She was,
Thank you.
she was a very sensitive person
Yeah.
and always running towards fame. And the poor girl, I think that she was so emotional. The death of her son, I think, was the last straw.
I think that was it. Yeah.
And for her,
Yeah.
that was so much about who she was. And so I felt for her. I felt, I don't know about you, but when her son passed away, I just felt, it really wasn't a good situation. So I wasn't surprised when she passed away. So.
Yeah. But she really did accidentally die. She had an abscess in her rear, and she was infected.
Trying to over medicate. It was never intended to suicide, but the pain was just so excruciating for her emotionally that she couldn't take it. Yeah.
That makes sense. And she's very happy, like you said.
Absolutely.
Oh, she's and just that she's with her son and so happy. Like,
Right.
she's okay. Yeah.
All right. So Sterling.
John Belushi. Then so he's with us right now. He's a real energetic guy. It's almost like it's hard to contain him, hard to keep him sitting down. But he was 33 when he passed away, and it was a drug overdose. I mean, some of you probably remember that from the news. And it's kind of interesting. One of the last people to see him alive was actually Robin Williams. Like 2 hours before he died, Robin visited him at the Chateau Marmont. And so it's interesting. John was just talking about the fact that when Robin finally passed, John was able to be one of the first few people to greet Robin. So they were good friends here. So it was kind of interesting. It was kind of a good get together. He was just telling me that a lot of people say that maybe he didn't get to live his life fully or live a long enough life. And what he really wanted everyone to know, and he wants everyone to know, is that he felt like he didn't leave anything off his bucket list, that he really learned how to live outside the lines. Some people say, think outside the box. He kind of lived outside the lines. And he said one of his only regrets he was talking about was that he kind of wanted to be a musician. He kind of started his career being a musician, like in a band. And that didn't work. So he fell into the comedy with Second City. That was like in Chicago, where his brother also went. But he said, really Second City kind of opened up a whole new horizon for him. And obviously the big break was SNL. He was very thankful for everything SNL gave him. He was, the big thing about SNL was that he said he really had to fight his ego all the time, and he never really got along with Lorne Michaels. So it's famously understood that he got fired and rehired like many times. So he said, I'm sorry for all that, because really my ego got in the way. But in reality, I never felt good on my own skin. But he said there were people in his life that were like a brother to him, like Dan Aykroyd and his own brother, Jim, that really helped stabilize him. And he actually said that, look, I came to my brother many times after I passed to help him, because his brother took it very, very hard, Jim.
Yeah.
But he said in an interesting way, the way the universe works. I mean, he said, look, I wasn't a very spiritual person when I was there. But once I passed, I realized that my life path opened up a gateway for my brother, Jim. And really that like Jim's career took off after John left the planet. So he was thankful for the way all that worked out, and tried to communicate with his brother many, many times. But he loves everything. His biggest regrets, he couldn't say goodbye to his wife and a lot of his family because of the way he passed. It was so, for him it was accidental, but wasn't. But he loves the journey he was on. And frankly, he says, I'm enjoying hanging out with a lot more comedians on this side than I could when I was there.
Yeah.
So he's seeing a lot of the old Richard Pryor and, a lot of the comedians that he didn't really get a chance to spend time with. So George Carlin. So anyway, good guy, but a ball of energy. And I felt he was just telling me he had a very realistic view of his life path. So good guy.
That's great. Also, Robin Williams stopped using drugs after he died. He went clean and sober after that.
Yeah.
Was he self-medicating maybe to manage that energy? Because if, that wild force was probably trying to tame himself or something.
Yeah, well, I think for him, he was just telling me that, he was addicted to that energy spike when he was around people in public or around SNL. It was all the fame is like a drug. And so when he wasn't around all the fame, I hear a lot of famous people say this, it's just, it feels very uncomfortable. And so you look for ways to kind of keep the adrenaline moving. And that's where the drugs came in.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did you pick up that, I know the drugs didn't help, but was he a little ADHD or because he's felt like he was zooming all the time?
Yeah, I didn't pick up the ADHD necessarily, but I pick up the fact that he was addicted to the adrenaline rush of fame. And so that maybe gave him that look like that. But
Okay.
once he tasted all the admiration he got from SNL, being one of the original cast, he could never come down off that. Yeah.
There's a lot of them that did that. Yeah.
Right.
Interesting enough, the woman that was with him too, I think her name was Susie or Susan, I forget her name now. She's now passed away, but she's with him too.
Oh, okay.
That woman that was with him when he
But
passed.
didn't they try to file charges on her for providing him?
They did, and it didn't stick. Didn't
Okay.
go anywhere. So yeah.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah, huge fan of his and his comedy. I mean, my goodness. Talk about gifted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was.
So I got Aaliyah. She was into R&B. She died in a plane crash in 2001. She was born 1/16/79. She was quite young.
Mhm.
She lied about her age at all times. She said, Linda, I acted like an old woman. I was just a baby. She was married to R. Kelly. She was called the princess, the R&B princess. R. Kelly was very possessive and she learned a lot from him, but she also said she's like shaking off his energy. But I think he really mourned her when she died. I felt like she worked against, this is what she said to me. She kind of worked against her family because she didn't want them to tell her what to do. Although I feel she might have been close to her mother. And I feel like when the plane crashed or was crashing, I almost feel mama. That's what I heard, mama. So I do feel a woman even met her over there, but I don't know if it's the grandmother because I feel like her mother was still alive. I didn't look it up. But she was real happy. She was in a new relationship and she was getting ready to get married again. But Kelly was a thorn in her side. That's what she's telling me. And she wishes him the best, but he was a thorn in her side. But she had a big future, and the ugliness of some people she knew in her life, people were trying to suck the life out of her, she said. Mm-hmm. It was like one thing after the other, and she was getting stronger and stronger in handling her own business. And because she was so young, she was just a baby. So yeah, so she's beautiful, alive over there. She's beautiful physically. Now, I didn't follow her music, but I can tell you that even though it was a pretty dramatic plane crash, she wants everybody to know she's whole again. She's in full spiritual body and very happy to be over there. And she said, tell everybody I love them. So there was quite the sweetness, but she could cut you off too. You know, for such a young girl, she could tell you off in a New York minute. I don't know anybody that may know her, but I can feel like she's like, oh, hell no. So, and I think she has some regrets about her mother. Either she regrets how her mother was all after her in terms of money, or the way her mother tried to protect her and she pushed her off. It's almost like everybody treated her like she was, but you know, look at what she did. She was young. She lived her life the way she wanted to. She died young, but guess what? She lived. It wasn't like she got in the business at 18 and then, you know, she was like, what, 13, 14. So. Anyway, so she said, she just saying, give everyone my love. And I'm not feeling a good relationship with dad, or there's regrets with dad. Okay, so that's what I got. But she's a
Great.
bright light. She didn't have too much history. She just wanted everybody to know she's fine.
Yeah, she was a real talent, and really at the very beginning of her career, she had some real, monumental success. But I remember it was very unfortunate. I mean, nothing happens by accident, but I think that plane was overloaded with equipment and people is why it went down.
Yeah.
Could she feel that it was going to crash? Because I almost felt like she was like,
Yeah.
mama. She was yelling
My
for mama.
understanding is that people that witnessed the crash said that the plane, struggled to get off the ground and really didn't do very well. They had it completely overloaded. It's unfortunate, but yeah, that it didn't get very high in the sky before it crashed.
Did everybody die in the crash?
I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there burning involved? Because I felt fire.
Probably.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
And then also, was the guy she was going to marry, was he there? Or do you guys know?
I'm not sure.
Don't know about that, but I still remember that her crew, and I think there was a bodyguard with her,
Okay.
as well as the pilot. There was like 4 or 5 people. It was all the equipment. They load way too much equipment on the plane with the people. That's unfortunate, but no accidents, right? So
Yeah, exactly. But I heard her yell for mama.
Oh,
Okay.
very talented young lady. She had a lot of good songs.
Yeah.
Her time here.
All right. Okay, so here we go. You're coming up with your next one.
I did Carrie Fisher. What a hoot.
I've read all of her books. She's really something. But
She
her
was
last book, she was so mad at Harrison Ford.
I asked about that.
Oh, you did, girl. Give us a 411.
He answered really funny. But she was really funny to tap into. And Postcards from the Edge is a great movie. So that was basically her coming out of rehab or whatever. And Meryl Streep played her, and Shirley MacLaine played her mother. Great movie, hilarious, great movie. So we know that she passed away a few years ago. I think she was only 60. On a plane, and they couldn't revive her or whatever. She ended up passing away with drugs and stuff in her system. So unfortunately,
she had a heart attack. Yeah,
she never got over her drug addiction. There were various things in her blood system, but that was her just trying to self-medicate, right?
Right.
There's so many people out there trying to self-medicate to regulate their emotions or their thoughts. So I think that needs to come out first as one of her first messages. And I did ask her about that. It was really hard for her to manage it and to crack it, to beat it. She was always trying to overcome this. And I had this card, and this right here reminds me of I'm probably saying it wrong, your pineal gland or your pineal gland, or, your third eye.
Yeah.
You see the Egyptian hieroglyphs or Sumerians, and they think that might have been representing the third eye. You see them holding a pine cone kind of thing. So I clarified, I said, is that what that is? And I got third eye, so purple, your third eye. I'm like, okay. And then your heart chakra and your root chakra. So love who you are. How you see things can get messed up, how they interpret themselves, how they see their world. So I don't know, I'm not a doctor or anything, but it feels like it's some kind of interpretation, right? Everything looks awful, right? Versus joy. Is it about themselves? Like, love yourself, no matter what, even if you have a handicap or a mental illness or whatever it is, you should still love yourself, is what she's trying to say. She did go for help. She finally was able to ask for some help, but it was a constant juggling act in her head, just lots of stuff in her head that she couldn't beat it. So she tried to self-medicate. I mean, look how successful she was. It's not like she was, a failure, but she would struggle with that situation. But a hilarious woman, and as we said, very successful. So, her mother passed away like the next day,
She had a stroke right at the table while they were planning her funeral.
Yeah, so they were very, very close, obviously, and her mother really loved her. I said, so are you hanging out with your mom? How's that going? And actually, she said both her mother and her father. So the two of them, the mother, the father, she's hanging out with both of them. It's all good. They're very happy. They're celebrating. I just felt tremendous joy because,
Oh, that's great.
yeah, especially for, I mean, her mother must have been just like Nicole Smith when her son passed away. It's almost the same kind of thing. Like it was just unbearable.
I have a friend who lost his sister suddenly, and the mother was very close. She was like close to 100, and she died within a day. Sometimes it's just too much.
Yeah, or couples that have been married for a long time. Sometimes they'll pass.
What's his name? Edgar. What's his name? The sleeping prophet, Casey. When he died, his wife said she could feel him drawing her in, and she was dead in 2 months.
Wow, so
or when he died, his wife said, "Yeah, okay."
Right. So then I asked her, how is it now? How are you dealing with all of, your headspace now, let's say? So the disruption is gone. So we have disruption upside down. That's all gone. Her energy is balanced. Look at this higher consciousness has really helped her. So like we say, I know everything kind of gets kind of nice when you cross over, right? Or you kind of figure out some stuff. No rush. No rush to cross over, but people who seem to be tormented here are starting to find some answers over there, right? So then I asked about Harrison Ford because I have to know. I mean, Harrison Ford is Han Solo. Please, I can't. And there's nothing better, especially Empire Strikes Back. I'm sorry. That's just number one for me.
Right.
So I asked, what was that like? Well, she said she was pretty young. So we got the building blocks, building her career, figuring out who she is. She didn't think it would really go the distance. I also think she might have chased him a little bit, and who wouldn't? Now this one's kind of saucy. This is why would. So just, it was a lot of fun.
Oh,
He was a lot of
okay. Yeah, she wrote one book that almost seemed it was directing a lot of anger at him. I put that book down. It's the only book that she wrote that I was like, ooh, she's still in this anger mode, which isn't going to help her spiritual mode.
No.
But she did celebrity ghost stories. And she saw ghosts in her house all the time. So I figured over there, she's probably wide open to whatever,
Yeah, so her consciousness is cleaning up and all that bad stuff is gone. And then I asked for a message for her daughter because I know she really loved her daughter, Billy, I believe is her name. Weave together the crown you deserve. So there's her daughter, her and her mother, right? They're around her, they're watching her, and they're telling her to just go for it. They were both very successful women in their, kind of headstrong and did what they wanted, and they want her to do the same.
Great.
So I thought that was really nice. And she's really hilarious to tap into.
Right.
Everyone to tap into and have a little laugh.
Yeah.
Brilliant writer.
Well, her books, I would read them on airplane flights and just laugh out loud. And you know who else had me laughing so hard? I had to put the book down because I was like going to pee my pants, was Joan Rivers. Her books are hysterical. All right, we got Sterling next. Thank you.
I was just going to say, thank you for that. I was just going to say that Debbie's son and her brother, they're carrying on the whole legacy right now. So they've got a theatrical training academy and a museum, and they're trying to carry on their legacy. I think they're out in Las Vegas. It could be around, maybe they're in Palm Springs. I think it's Las Vegas. But anyway, I just saw that the son is still trying to carry on the tradition and keep both their spirits alive. So it's doing a nice job with that.
Nice.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
All right. So I'm up in the batter's box, so to speak. Steve Jobs. So I've talked with him a number of times, and very interesting guy. Interesting guy because, almost like Elon Musk and some other people that you see out in society, they had a gift and they actually were able to channel the other side. And Steve was kind of an interesting dichotomy. Every time he comes through, he died at 56 years old from pancreatic cancer in 2011. But it was diagnosed, I think it was like 2003 is when he got the diagnosis for pancreatic cancer, I think. But, you know, he actually spent a fair amount of time in the East, like going to India and seeking out, you know, kind of Eastern wisdom and try to integrate that along with the messages he was getting, let's say from the other side about technology to develop. And then he had to dance with a really big ego. So that was a very interesting dance with, you know, Eastern methodology and getting information from spirits and guides, but having a huge ego.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had you know, it was interesting. The ego kind of works sometimes. If you're the smartest guy in the room, it works. You know, if you're not the smartest guy in the room, it's hard to take the ego. But, you know, you go, well, I guess he's right. He was sorry when he comes through and he's standing around us right now. That's the biggest thing he wants everybody to know. There's no reason for that much ego in life. That he felt like he was unkind to a lot of people. And he carried that energy with him to the other side, the unkindness, and even the acknowledgement of how he lived this life with his family. You know, he was adopted, and then he always carried the energy with him that not that he was no good, but it's like, you know, when it's abandonment, right? When you get given up by your family doesn't acknowledge you. He carried that hurt with him for a long time. But he was just saying, Sterling, in a lot of ways, that gave me drive in life. I was driven to be a success. But at the same time, I didn't acknowledge paternity, right? So when he had, you know, he had a child, Lisa, I think was her name, and actually the Lisa computer got named after his daughter, but he didn't acknowledge paternity for a long time. And so he hurt a lot of people. He just wanted to say that. Very proud of the company he built, and still to this day, he's sending, you know, congratulations to Tim Cook. Tim Cook, you know, was very close to him in life at the time and storing the company. And then, you know, he's also saying that one of the things he wants to get across is that everybody really live your vision. When you get ideas, respect the ideas that you get, because everything you get from the universe is trying to help you and help others around you. So acknowledge that. And then he also wanted to say that there were certain people in his life that maybe he didn't acknowledge enough, again, but people like Bob Iger at Disney. So, you know, Bob was almost kind of like an extended father to him, a very good friend, an extended father. And he really got some good advice from Bob Iger, including when they're doing the transaction with Pixar, when Bob was buying Pixar for Disney. But he acknowledged, even after his death, all the things that Bob did to kind of memorialize him. And I think they acknowledged, like, even across all the Disney parks, they flew the flags at half staff for Steve Jobs. So, you know, he was acknowledging the kindness that Bob to this day, and he's trying to help Bob from the other side. But, you know, bottom line, he's proud of everything he left behind, and not so proud of the way he didn't really live in the best spiritual light he could have, especially understanding all the Eastern religion that he knew. So in his last days of life, he said, look, I really acknowledged all that. And I'm in a great place right now. I love what I did, but he said, I don't want to do it again. So he actually doesn't want to come back to the same kind of a life. He said it was just a little too hard on him. So good guy.
Yeah. Did he, when he went over there, was he able to drop that ego fast enough?
Yeah, in a New York minute.
Okay.
Yeah, the ego was gone. And actually it's almost like he lost all his clothes. You know what I mean? It's almost like being naked all of a sudden.
Right.
And like, wow, I was carrying a lot of ego as armor in life.
Right.
So yeah.
Right.
And that's typical. You and I know that. We speak to a lot of people that cross over. Ego is one of the first things that gets dropped behind when you cross.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Did he ever find out who his biological parents were?
He did.
Oh, he
And,
did.
you know, interesting story behind that, because that was even in his book. The book was written about his life, but I don't remember all the details, but he actually did meet up with his father one time. His father was from the Middle East, and I don't remember exactly what country, but he actually did meet his father one time. But his father, so Steve knew it was his father. When he met his father didn't know that the son he gave up and abandoned years ago was Steve. So the father said some things that didn't sit well with Steve. So during the lunch meeting, Steve never revealed that son you gave away was me. So it's a very interesting story. He never let his biological father know that he was the son he gave up. It's interesting.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
He took that to his
something.
grave. Yeah.
Wow.
And Steve
Okay.
Jobs was also one of those brilliant people who say the ideas were just in the ether, right? I think he
Right.
said that just there he got, you know.
Yeah, he acknowledged all that the ideas he got, even during meditation, but he didn't talk about that a lot in public, but yeah, obviously it's true.
That's great. Thank you, Sterling.
Sure.
So my next one is Stevie Ray Vaughan. This is interesting. I have three people, Stevie Ray, Ritchie Valens, and how do you pronounce it again? Aaliyah.
Aaliyah.
All died in plane crashes. I didn't plan that. So Stevie Ray Vaughan died in a helicopter crash, 8/27/1990. I remember the world stood still because he was a genius and with what he did. And trust me, as soon as I asked for him, he shows up playing. You know, he's playing. And you know who was standing next to him? David Bowie. And then I find out that they did sort of a collaboration together. He might have played on Let's Dance. Stevie Ray Vaughan played with him. But they had a connection, those two. They really liked each other. So he died pretty instantly, but he's almost like it's cool, like he's not tripping. He's not saying I had all these things to do. He's kind of content and he's in paradise, you know, and he gets to still play his music. That was his other arm, you know, you can't take away. So he's with some of the masters. I mean, he's talking about being with Amadeus, you know, he's with masters over there. And it just, they're all talking amongst each other and they're playing together because there's this great hall, and I've seen it before, even in a dream. It's this great hall, and energetically, people don't show up in physical body, but all this light because it's spiritual bodies. And you can go to this great hall and watch these people, even Tom Petty, play music. But even the old masters, you know what I'm saying? Way back when. So he's still, it's all in the music is what he said. He did his life's path. This is what he was supposed to do. He loved himself some women's. Maybe not so good sometimes in his treatment towards women. Maybe he broke some hearts, you know. He felt a little bad about that, but he's doing really good. He was a pretty good looking guy, huh? He's coming through very beautiful in his appearance. Just very sharp, kind of different clothing. You know what I'm saying? He's doing. What's hitting you in the back, girl?
I'm being attacked. I'm being attacked by one of my cats.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Ghostesses. I thought Stevie Ray Vaughan's at your house.
So come on screen, I guess, huh? Yeah.
A lot of people asked for him, so he was very talented. Very famous people wanted Stevie Ray.
Mhm.
But he was cool as long as the money was coming in. Don't mess with his money. When was his birthday? 10/3. Yeah, so that figures. He was sort of a Libra, sort of a, you know, just chillaxing. You know, he liked his, I think he liked his pot. I see him smoking pot. But he's in paradise, man. There's no place better. And he's in sort of a, it's not like paradise in the Ozarks. It's paradise in like an island with trees, palm trees, and that kind of energy. So he's saying hello to everyone. Thank you to my peoples. But he's doing good. Did he have children too? You might have had a child. I see him wondering about a child or worried about a child, but he's doing very good. Oh, so he just told me his mother's there with him. I don't know if his mother died, but he just said, my mother's here. There's family here. I don't think he had the easiest life growing up. So his focus in his life was his music. Like Steve Jobs' focus was, you know, being good at what he did. That's Stevie Ray too. Just a talent, a real talent.
Oh, yeah.
And never quite believed all the accolades coming towards him. He just liked to be high and relax and do his thing. So that's Stevie Ray.
Great.
Yeah, I don't think he was a big in the tabloids or anything. He was just pretty low key figure, right? Just doing
Yeah, he just liked doing his thing, you know. But I saw David Bowie, and then I Googled it and saw that David Bowie had him on Let's Dance. So that made sense. I thought he was just being, oh, David Bowie's here, you know.
Yeah, he was a very well-respected musician. He was definitely, you know, in a top 10 list of guitar virtuosos. Stevie Ray Vaughan was way up there. Yeah.
And did people seek him out a lot? Like, would you play with this? Would you play with that?
Yeah, he did a number of sessions. He did. Yeah, he was a
He didn't
very,
like to be harassed. He didn't like to be bugged. And he didn't like people blowing smoke up his rear. He's just chill. That's what I was getting from him.
yeah. And I remember he did have a sense of style the way he dressed, whether it was
That's what
vest-
I saw him in like this outfit that was to die
Yeah,
for.
and he had, I always saw him when he, you know, he had certain kinds of hats on. He had unique kinds of hats that were like somewhere between a cowboy hat and something else. He always had feathers and vests, and yeah, he had kind of a sharp way. It was almost kind of a little rock and roll, a little Indian. You know what I mean?
Right.
Native
I feel like
American.
kind of a Jimi Hendrix kind of flair.
Yeah, a little Jimi Hendrix vibe there too. Yeah.
But he's with the Masters and he's doing his thing, and he's like, he didn't like to be harassed. So I think he hired people that, you know, kept everybody away from him. So, all right, thank you. Next, Andrea.
So I saved this one for last because this one was a whole other trip. So John Lennon, obviously he needs no introduction. He was one of the Beatles, extremely talented as in the group and on his own. Obviously we know he was unfortunately murdered, but still has left a legacy of music and, you know, just incredible talent. And I'll tell you how this reading went in a second, because I only got one question in about the Beatles. And I said, what was that like? What was it like being a Beatle? Because you see all the videos and the fans screaming everywhere they go, you know, the Fab Four, you know, the British invasion, and just this enormous fanfare literally around them. So with the Beatles, we have ballads upside down. So Green, lots of money. Sure, he loved it, but life was not in perfect balance with that amount of fame. You know, you got to give up some stuff. Well, it wasn't perfect, but what it did do was it allowed him to live his passion, and that was playing music. That is what his purpose was, and he was able to fulfill it, starting with the Beatles and then onto his own when he went out solo. And this is where everything started to turn in the reading. So he passed away in 1980, and in 1981 was the first year of World Peace Day or International Peace Day, which is on September 21st every year, which was just this Tuesday that passed by. And I just thought it was interesting because you know how he always talked about love and peace and you know all that kind of stuff. And he passes, and the next year this day starts, and it just felt it was a bit of a continuation of his message. So when I started to talk about that, the whole room just went woo. And the more I talked to him, and just this couple messages I have here, I've never had this before. I almost fell asleep. I started going like this forward, and I was just so in this energy, beautiful.
Oh,
That it was wonderful, but it was making me fall asleep because it was just, I don't know if it was overpowering or so
Peaceful.
peaceful that it literally, but I was just, or in a, not trance, but in something like that, right? Where you're just sort of in that in between. So I asked him, what can we do to help this planet, right? Keep the, you know, make peace, love, all this sort of stuff. The first card out was awaken your empathy. Exactly. You have to feel what other people are going through. You have to have emotion for other people. You have to have sympathy and care for others if there's going to be world peace, right? It just can't be about you. So awakening your empathy, and then meditate and contemplate. So again, meditating. I'll tell you, I'm going to start again going to sleep. Because it's just such a vibration.
kind of like when Eckhart Tolle talks, he puts you in that trance.
yeah, and it's incredible. It's so powerful and beautiful. So feel for the other people on the planet, the animals, the earth, all of it, right? Not just people, but the other things on the earth as well. Meditate and contemplate. What should you do? How can you help? These things will help us collectively. And I said, what's coming next? Because there's, the ascension that we're supposed to be going through and all this stuff that we see that's good and bad. What's going to come next? So intuition, our third eye is going to start to get stronger. There's going to be a change of mind. I also see a meeting of minds. So less hate and more coming together. I mean, it's not going to be tomorrow, but it's coming. And then knowledge. So a higher power knowledge, we're all going to understand, or most of us are going to understand things a lot better through whatever's to come, right? And to move us forward. It's really amazing stuff. And then the last card is follow the leader. And what I got from that was, I'll call it source. Source will be the leader. So what is source doing? What does source need? What is the right thing? And then we all start following in that path, on that path, to doing the right thing. And there's a clock in the tree, so it's time. Like it's time. This is starting. This is happening. Some of us are a little further than others on the path, but just a tremendous. I mean, I don't know what else to say about John Lennon other than this guy meant what he said about love and peace. He was tapped into something. He knew it was urgent and important to get that message out. And I think he's still obviously working behind the scenes or above the scenes to help us on our way. Just a tremendous, I will definitely be tapping into this energy again with him just to learn some more and see some more, but just beautiful message. And to me, it's a message of hope that this is happening. We're on the right path, most of us, and the rest of us will help get there, and also follow a leader to me also means lead by example. So what are you doing in your life that is good and on the right path that others can see and learn from? You don't have to, ram it in their face what you're doing. They can see, they can observe, right?
Right.
They'll watch you do the right thing. So you can lead by example. And that was my John Lennon reading.
Wow.
Whew.
Heavy.
Whew, heavy duty for sure. It just was amazing. I was just going like this into the energy and just, I don't know, it was amazing.
He left a lot of really good anthems for the world behind, like Imagine and some other things that still to this day are very meaningful. Yeah. So I remember where I was in 1980. Well, I think maybe everybody does when I got the news. It was just, terrible news that he was shot and killed in New York. Yeah. I still remember it was like it was yesterday.
Because that shock.
Yeah.
I was watching a football game and I lived in Laguna Beach on my little TV. And I heard, ladies and gentlemen, we have some news. John Lennon has been shot and killed. And it was, who's that guy that's dead now, that famous football announcer? He was kind
Howard
of
Cosell. Howard Cosell.
Yeah, Howard Cosell.
Yeah. Yep. No,
And I remember kind of like yelling out, and I was by myself, and I remember feeling like, whoa.
Yeah, for me, it energetically felt like there was a world shift because he was a world leader for peace and love.
Yeah.
He really was more than a Beatle. But so yeah, it was a shift. I knew right away when I felt that. That's one of the shifts in the world right there. Yeah.
And then George was stabbed in his own home. It just makes you worry. Yeah, people seek fame, but sometimes you get the craze out there.
Very true. Very true.
But was it as prophesized? Did he say to you? Basically, this is what he signed up for.
Well, I believe with that reading that he was to come down here and get that message out, right? Which he did. So he fulfilled his destiny. Yeah, absolutely.
That was great. Thank you.
Whew, it was wonderful.
So Sterling has another here.
I was saying, Andrea, I'm glad you stayed awake because I think
Yeah.
we were drifting off
And
there
give
for a
us the
second.
message.
We would have had to finish the reading.
There you go. There you go.
Right. And so I'm up. The last one I was doing today here was Luther Vandross. And for those that don't know him, he was 54 years old when he passed away, but he was really he was a recording artist and producer and background singer and very well known in the industry, but is a very kind person and a huge talent and a guy that, had talent from a very young age and had to kind of work his way up through difficult family circumstances. But, he has a lot of very loving energy. And one of the things that's interesting is that he always respected his talent, but, like a lot of famous people, he had trouble with his outward image. And what I mean by that is he struggled with weight completely. He went up and down in weight like a yo-yo, the poor guy. And he always felt like his self-worth in the world was somehow being evaluated by his weight. And people loved him, whether he was, I don't know what the top weights were, but whether he was huge or whether he was skinny. And but he left a legacy. Just tell me, he was very proud of the fact that he felt he helped a lot of people, not just being a background singer. People like Shaka Khan and Diana Ross and Whitney Houston, but he helped a lot of people. Then on his own solo career, he felt he left behind a lot of songs that were very helpful. For him, one of the proudest moments was like Here and Now. I think it was 1989. Here and Now.
Oh, I love that song.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, that's one of my favorite songs.
That was one of like the big breakout hits for him. I just got a cold chill.
Yeah.
He loves Here and Now. He says, Sterling, I love
So
that.
good.
I know you do. The other thing he was just acknowledging, when he crossed over, he got together with his father. His father died at a very early age due to health problems. He was 8 years old when his father died. So that was a regret he had. He could never kind of get things aligned with his father here in life, but he did when he passed over. And interesting that he had, I think, 4 siblings, or 4 altogether, but everybody passed away prior to the mother. So everybody had health problems. I think Luther passed away from a stroke and some other complications, but it's interesting, they all had health problems. They all came down to this planet with health problems and died, somewhat early.
Yeah.
So he acknowledges all that. He wanted to get a message out that it's very important for everybody. If you're a parent out there, get your kids exposed to early on to all sorts of things in life. So he acknowledges the fact that his sisters took him, for example, to the Apollo Theater to witness a lot of, acts that really got him motivated early on. So one of the things you want to get out here today is that please, parents, take the time to get your kids exposed to things early on in life. It's extremely valuable. Encourage them. Let people live outside the box if they need to. Not everybody learns in the same way. Some people are out of the box thinkers. And if you're artistic, you're going to learn differently. And, he doesn't, he has no problem with the way he was raised and kind of the hard knocks, but he's extremely valuable for all the people that he knew here and he knows there, kind of an artistic community, the music community. And he still carries on the other side because he like sings all the time, still on the other side. He loved to sing, loved to sing. So
Beautiful voice.
A lot of love to everybody. And yeah.
Beautiful. Oh,
Beautiful.
yeah, he's got quite a few good songs, not just that one, but that one in particular is just such a huge.
Such a good song, yeah.
Woo.
Another Power of Love was another one that came after that one. Power of Love. And then he had a lot of hits and a lot of albums, but just the poor guy, he wrestled with his weight, and he just felt that was so indigenous that if people loved him or not. So
I wonder if he was a diabetic too, to top it all off.
He was diabetic, yeah, and the stroke. I guess stroke is certainly, if you're in a diabetic condition, that can happen. And
yeah,
so yep.
Poor babe, but he's doing good.
He's doing wonderful. Yeah,
we're the ones left behind.
Exactly.
So that was great. Thank you.
It was beautiful.
Thanks.
So it makes me want to put on Here and Now. Right?
Yes.
Okay, so my last but not least is Ritchie Valens. He was born February 3rd, 1959. He died May 13th, 1941 in a plane crash. Famous movie about him, La Bamba. He died with Buddy Holly, who was also magnificent. And his mother just died in 1987, and she was very happy to be with him again. I think his mother inherited everything that belonged to him, all the residuals and stuff.
Because he was pretty young, wasn't he? He was really young when he.
Yeah, well, he was born in he was born 5/13/41. He died February 3rd, 59. So he was like, what, how old?
18, 17?
Something. And people teased him too, because he was so young.
Oh,
But he was going to take off, he's telling me. And he was overwhelmed with the love that he got from the other side, from everybody on earth. Because people were, it was all over, like John Lennon, it was all over. Buddy Holly too, some big bop guy died too, right?
Big Bopper.
Yeah. So, but they were all together going over there. So he's saying it's absolutely beautiful here. It's always in the music. The soul speaks in terms of music, he said. It's not something that should be poo-pooed. It actually has the ability to speak to you. And he would, some of his music was sort of more with a dance tune. Do you know what I'm saying? Ba la 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 bamba. And it was fun, but he said he had so many things he was writing that touched the soul. So that never got out there. His brother really, really mourned him, because his brother could be kind of indifferent towards him or wanting something from him. But he's saying he also has an animal over there too. Sometimes I see animals and I see him really petting this animal. So he might have had a dog he loved when he was young or something. But he was very happy to see. His mom is just thrilled to see him. She knew he'd be okay. But he's, very happy to see her. And there's the other thing he wanted me to tell everybody is that there's a soulmate over there that he's with. It's a female. And no, he didn't know her in life. He's known her now in spirit. They've reconnected. She was like waiting for him. And she's beautiful. And his grandmother, there's a grandmother there that really, really loved him. So his message to the world is it's always in the music. The music can change your energy like that. It doesn't even have to be singing music. It just be, I put out a little Andreas Vollenweider, some of his stuff, the harp, boom, it can change my energy. Put on some of my Comanche drums, boom. So he says, always seek out music to heal your soul. And he's doing the work. He hasn't taken another body yet. He wanted to wait for his mom, but he will be coming back in a different format. Oh, you know who else he showed me that was over there? And I think I've read her before. Selena. They were all really rooting for her over there. So he was like, she's over here too, because they knew she was going to have to exit stage left kind of soon. But she's over there too.
Yeah.
He's very Latina. He wasn't always Latina. He took different forms in his life. He was even a Native American in another life. But now that he's over there, he's working with more of a Latina crowd. So anyway.
Beautiful.
Great.
He's a good looking guy too.
Yeah.
So listen, you guys, so this was great. Now I want to make an announcement. I want to tell you that Andrea has her own deck of cards that she just finished. And I'm going to order a deck. There it is. She just completed it. And we can go to Lilac Lantern, right, to get it?
Yeah, you could find it on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
Lilac Lantern Tarot.
Lilac Lantern. Oh, sure. But it's been in the back of my mind that I've got to get those cards because I need them. Because you do a real good job with reading cards, by the way.
Thank you.
So, and also, Sterling, we can contact you via
sterlingpsychicmedium.com.
Okay. And he's booked too, pretty much. So, and then I'll put my info on the bottom, but all this, her info, Sterling's info. We love you, Sterling.
Well, thank you. I love you
We
guys
really
too.
appreciate it. You do such a good job.
I mean,
Thank you.
I'm the honored one that you both said yes to do the show with me. And just
Yeah,
a
I
million
remember
thank
getting
yous.
your text or email and you said, hey, would you guys be at, and I told Sterling, who the hell's this gal?
Exactly.
And then Andrea, Linda told me I had to do it. So
I
I
I said, hey, sucker, you better do it with me.
Yeah, I don't want to go alone with her.
But you do such a good job, girlfriend.
Thank you. Well, it's been
That's why I say it's your baby. This is your thing. You brought us together. So
Thank
we
you.
had
It's
a good
been-
time, huh, Sterling?
a complete honor to work with both of you. Without
Thank you.
I don't have enough words to say thank you.
Aw, Thank you.
the same. It's been a real pleasure, and we'll still, we'll do it in the future. Just we'll get schedules arranged.
And
So
it doesn't have to be dead famous. Maybe we want to play some other game.
Yeah, we can do
Sure.
other things. Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
okay. Because we could have, listen, Sterling and I aren't going to hook up again until the end of October. But I'm going to tell you, fasten your seatbelts because some stuff's getting ready to happen right now in Washington. So we might have some stuff we need to talk.
We
And
might have to
Sterling
do
does
like-
his own show. He's on YouTube. I'll post his link and you talk a lot about what's going on in current events. And Andrea, she
Yeah.
does her own thing.
all kinds of stuff, current events or whatever
Yeah.
ends up in my head.
And then, my big head's out there every once in a while.
And I want you to know that my Linda already ordered a set of your cards, Andrea.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, so
Aw.
they hope they'll be here really soon. So
Thank
His
you.
wife she rocks, girlfriend. She's the nicest
Yes.
person.
Bless Linda, your wife.
Yeah, she's
Aw.
very, very good.
yeah, she's a
Okay.
wonderful.
Yes, indeed. Aw,
Okay, you
Okay.
guys. Well,
love.
this has been fun. Cheers, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.